Hello again, race car fans. So this is an interesting race car put up by Hot Wheels. It's the Nissan Leaf Nismo RC02. That means it's the second version of the Leaf Nismo. And Nismo means Nissan Motorsport, by the way. So let's take a look here. The Leaf is an electric vehicle, so Nissan was trying to basically say, hey, electric vehicles are not Toyota Priuses. They don't have to be boring economical vehicles. So they're trying to help, change the image of electric cars. Although I think Tesla's doing a good job of changing that image, right? Let's talk about just all electric vehicles. Do you think they're boring or not? Is it even necessary for Nissan to make this vehicle and try to say, hey, all electric vehicles are awesome? I think for me, I already know that all electric vehicles are pretty awesome because they have so much torque right at the very beginning, so they accelerate very quickly, and then naturally they're not spewing out a bunch of CO2 emissions. Although where that electricity comes from at the electrical plant is a different story. If they're coal power plants, that's not good for the environment. Alright, before I forget, let's do the scale here. I keep on forgetting to measure the scale and then having to edit them into my videos. So let's just do this now. So the wheelbase is 2,700 millimeters. Let me zero out my calipers here and try to get this into the middle of these axles. Somewhere in that ballpark, 42.7. So I'm getting 163, so I think it actually is around 164 because there's play in the axles. The way I measured this, who knows, I could be off. So anyways, it's not going to look really goofy next to your other 164 models. It's in the same ballpark, I would say. Alright, well, let's see, what else did I learn? Now, the first generation Nismo Leaf was just rear-wheel drive and mid-engined with one electric motor. But this being the second generation, it actually has two motors, one front and rear, powering each set of wheels. So there's twice the output of the original with 240 kilowatts and 640 newton meters of torque. So that's a pretty high amount of torque. Now it's supposed to weigh 1,220 kilograms and it's do 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. So that's definitely supercar fast. Alright, the wheels obviously, they're a little bit different than the photos, but at least they're black and they have a red rim. So they look pretty good. There's some, no, there's no cast, I can't tell if there's ridges there. I feel a very faint ridging, but it's very, very faint. It's mostly just the black graphic making it look like vents. And then, yeah, these tampo prints are great. Alright, the front end, as I mentioned, looks pretty good. There's no way I could paint headlights like that myself. So that looks good. The grille as well, and it says Nismo, Nissan. Maybe a little black paint there would be helpful. Alright, the silver metallic is alright. It's not overly splotchy, or the flakes aren't too big. Unfortunately the wing is very big because it has to meet the safety standards for a 3-year-old child to play with. Alright, we have the smoked canopy, and you can kind of see indications of the interior. This side, I'm now noticing there's a door handle sticking out a little bit. And then, as I mentioned, the rear, it's lacking detail. They molded in the Nissan badge, so that's nice. But I'm probably going to have to add some paint to the back of this. And then, well, I feel like the wing struts are in the wrong location. I feel like in the real photograph they're more back here, but maybe it's the angle of the photo that's throwing me off. Naturally, there's no exhaust tips on an all-electric vehicle. These vertical strakes have to be thick, again, for safety reasons. Copyright 2020. I have to imagine this is an all-new casting. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this car, the real car only came out in 2020, so is this the very first colorway? The very first release of this model? I don't know. I would have to imagine it is because it matches those photographs. But you know, maybe next month this thing will come out in red or something like that. Or the flip-flop with the black and silver flip-flopped. Alright, well, let's see what I come up with here. So I'm back, and I copied the wheels as well as I could, and the brakes as well, but the brakes are part of the, wheels, so they're going to spin. I also had to drill out this section back here so I could let the axles rise up. There was just too much of a gap, and in standard position, well, actually that does match the race photo, but in certain instances, a different race photo is more like that. So anyways, I prefer the lowered stance myself. A little black paint here in these vents here, and then the rear end is really tough to do. The black vents are no problem. There's some paint there, a little red there. It's this section. I first tried black paint and then scraping off the extra, but I kept on scraping all of it off. So I stripped all the paint off, and then this is a black Sharpie marker, and then red Sharpie marker. And then the light actually swoops around, but I'm pretty sure I'd screw that up, so I just stopped while I was ahead, I would just totally ruin it if I tried to match the car perfectly. So, alright, you can see here some of the photos I'm talking about. Yeah, look at this taillight. It actually wraps up around up here, so there's no way I could do that with a Sharpie. That's just not going to happen. Yeah, and then I didn't even try to do the red line around the bottom. There's just no way it's going to happen with me. I don't know why Hot Wheels wouldn't have made the base of this thing red, right? Why not have all this just be red plastic, and then that line would be around the whole perimeter? Because, well, anyways, who knows? I don't work for Hot Wheels. Alright, well, let's compare it to a couple other vehicles, and I'm going to put a bunch of Nissan racing cars here. So, let's see, I'm going to go and... This is a Kyosho Nissan a Nissan R380-2. One of their early race cars. Alright, this next one is a Kyosho R382. And now it's a whole open vehicle. Like a Can-Am style. Moving up in time, we have a Nissan R92 CP from 1992. So now it looks like a Le Mans racer. And this next one is an R390 GT1. So that's a big jump in size. I'm pretty sure all the Kyoshos are close to 1/64 scale, hence the variance in their size. Alright, so those are just a little bit of Nissan history. I don't really get to show these off too often, so I thought I'd use this as an excuse to. This next one is by Sparky, and it's this strange Nissan Delta Wing, an experimental race car. And I think the very last one here by Kyosho is the closest to this Leaf. It's a Nissan GTR Super GT from 2008. At least in appearance, it's the closest thing. Naturally, in powertrain, it is not. Alright, well, that's it for, well, there's top view here for you guys if you're interested, but... Alright, well, it's always nice, with Hot Wheels, they just crank out so many different, castings, whether they're supposed to be realistic looking, or fantasy looking, or strange mashups, that's one reason why I do appreciate the brand, on top of the fact that they're inexpensive. So, alright, well, until the next Hot Wheels comes in, I'll talk to you in the comment section. See ya.